Hello, Eric Walczykowski here, CEO of Bespoke Partners and host of Tailored Talent. Today, I am joined by our Chief Marketing Officer, Adam Boone. Boone, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Super excited to be here. Super excited to talk about the topic we're going to tackle today.
Boy, isn't it exciting to be talking about the Executive Index? It's been a big month here at Bespoke Partners. We launched our Executive Index with nearly 700,000 executives, a technology solution that we've been working on for over 3 years. It improves the quality of search and the quality of executives we get because we are the only firm that has a comprehensive view of all the candidates in North America. Creation of the index was no trivial task. I mean, I like to think about the information service, which is really what it is this notion of consume, curate, and render, consume information, curate it or organize it in a way that then you can render for folks to make the most impactful decision. Boone, talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges we faced along the way in creating this index.
There were many, and it really has to do with what you were describing there, with that whole process of how you pull the appropriate data out of the sources. You then bash it together and figure out how you arrive at the truth of what something should represent. So, for instance, titles, right? Executive titles. It is phenomenal how many variations there are of executive titles. Even if you're just looking at the C-suite, which our index goes way beyond the C-suite, includes VPs, it goes all the way, all the different layers of executive leadership. But even if you're just looking at the C-suite and you want to look at go-to-market leaders in marketing or sales or customer success, there are hundreds of thousands of variations of titles that these individuals may have. And the different data sources that we're learning about them from may use any one of those hundreds of thousands of variations of the titles. And so you need to be very creative in how you use the AI tools out there to kind of bash those together and understand, oh, this title here is actually equivalent to that title there. And they're both CROs. And so we know that we can tag them as a CRO in our output. That then allows it to be searched and found by someone who's looking for a CRO. If you were just trying to do that and go out to the raw data sources, you'd have an impossible job doing so. You wouldn't be able to accomplish that. So, that is just one example.
So what's interesting to me, Boone, is if you think about the index, we have disparate data sources that feed our index, including the proprietary layer of information and our 35 plus recruiters that are on the phone with executives all day, every day, picking up information that only we have. And I think what's really cool is when you take that data and people have asked, well, how easy is this going to be to replicate? There are a couple of things that come into it, right? So when you think about the information stack, areas that could be easy to replicate potentially are publicly available information, licensed information, but that's really it. And when you think about that, layering on that, and people have asked us, why have you been able to create it? It's because of our focus in software and the ability to understand the executive market inside and out. So if you take those disparate data sources that we've put together, we have a very unique lens on what goes into an executive. And so one of the things I wanted to hone in on is because everybody's talking about AI this, AI that. And I think the funny thing about it is everybody thinks about generative AI and ChatGPT or Grok or some of these other things. And they're like, well, are you using that in search? And the funny thing I look at is, sure, but actually the AI we're using right now is a lot more mundane than that, but it's actually a hell of a lot more practical to what we're doing in solving problems. So Boone, tell us a little bit about some of the AI.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. Everybody, because of all the hype that's been going around generative AI, thinks of it now as the chat bot or the thing that you interact with, that you ask questions to, and it comes up with a pretty cool, response that seems very well thought out, et cetera. But the actual heavy lifting for AI is what's going on in the background, and it's that aggregation and applying models and understanding and connecting the dots around just masses of information that otherwise is extremely hard to connect the dots on. And that's sort of the real magic and beauty of what's going on in AI. And it's really very analogous to what we're doing with the tools in our own application here in the index. That is, being able to take these different disparate data sources, basically pull in that data, normalize it into a way so that the right data can be compared and connected and tagged, and then really assembling that into these profiles or these backgrounds that are validated of the different executives out there. And it's a point we haven't really touched on yet, which I think is an extremely important one for people to understand. Your typical research function in a search team is relying on self-reported data of the executives. And what that means is what you put out on your LinkedIn profile is probably what most search firms out there are using to assess whether or not you're a fit for a given search that they're working on. Well, that's self-reported. The only thing that appears on that profile is stuff that I want to put there as the executive. And fine, it's in that sense, it's the equivalent of a resume. You're putting your accomplishments out there, your best foot forward. But does it really reflect what happened at the companies that I was at, right? Does it really reflect the full story, or does it really show you, everything that you need to know to make an intelligent decision around me as an executive and my potential fit? What we've done is we've gone to every potential source out there that can provide a point of view or a perspective in terms of data on those companies, on those executives, and we've assembled that into the model. So we have this validated view of the executives. That in and of itself is just a massive game changer.
Well, absolutely. And that is what I like to talk about around AI. And that to me is the real value in AI today, which was completing the total data set. And some of our competitors talk about, oh, well, what about the quality of the predictions that you can make out of that? The reality of it is the quality of the predictions are irrelevant unless you have the entire data set. And that was the first thing we had to do, and then build in machine learning and artificial intelligence to solve some problems. And we're not gonna give away all the secret sauce, but there are a couple of cool things that we did around the correlation between an executive's time at a particular company and the PE firm's whole time with that company, building that correlation to what exactly the impact the executive had on the outcome at the company. And so I look at that and I'm like, that is a really cool solution that no one else has in their repertoire, because LinkedIn Recruiter, PitchBook, all these other sources haven't done that.
Right. What you just described there is like just a serious higher order level of data analysis that's available, and it's available because of these tools, right? I mean, the notion that now you can look at an executive in the context of a private equity firm's investment thesis, and you can start to filter and understand the potential for someone to support that thesis and help execute on the value creation plan. That's just massive. I mean, it can cut potentially weeks, if not even months sometimes, off the process of an executive search, because you can come to an understanding of what value they can bring so quickly. It's just an amazing breakthrough.
No, that's incredible. Well, this tool is clearly going to disrupt the industry. I mean, Bespoke Partners, industry leader already in software and SaaS. And with this tool, it's going to be pretty amazing to see where we go going forward. So Boone, appreciate the hard work on bringing this to market, and can't wait for more innovative solutions that we bring to market in the next couple of years.